Hi everyone, thank you for tuning into the Onyx Effect, Step into the Ring with Onyx. Today we have Supreme Divine Minister with the Moorish Science Temple of America, Brother Sheikh Kenick L. And I think I said that backwards, but
It's okay. Well. Peace and love.
Well, thank you so much for coming to step in the ring with me today. I'm very excited to have you here.
Yeah.
And we're going to just step right into it. The first question I want to ask you is, where are you from?
All right. First, I rise and get complete perfect praise to Allah, the author, creator, the government of the world, almighty, eternal, and incomprehensible. I extend honors to his prophet noble Drew Ali. We give honors to all truly divine prophets, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, and Confucius. We give honors to all past and present leaders of the Moorish Science Temple of America. We give honors to my Supreme Grand Sheikh, Kenick Umar Bey, his officials and staff. We give honors to all Asiatics and Muslims and everybody doing their part to help and follow humanity in the world. Honors to you for the show, honors to everybody for tuning in, and honors to your mama, your cousins, your friends, and them, and all the foes and all things Moorish. Islam. So, where am I from? I'm originally from Mississippi, state of Mississippi.
Oh, okay.
1985. And now I'm currently from the Moorish Science Temple of America.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where I'm from.
Okay. Yeah. I wanted to know that because I always thought you were from the area, but I figured you may not be, and I don't know how many people actually know that about you.
Yeah. I grew up on a military base. My father was in the Navy. So we moved every 2 years. By the time I was 15, I had lived in like 8 different states.
Mm-hmm.
So I claim America, born and raised. And I've been here in Virginia now for like 15 years. So for a large portion of my life, I was here, but most of my adult life was here.
Okay. So I just gave your full title, your official title. I think I flipped a couple of words around, but can you explain to us what that means?
Yes. So, first, the Moorish Science Temple of America. I am a faithful member of the Moorish Science Temple of America.
Mm-hmm.
The Moorish Science Temple of America is an organization that was founded by Prophet Noble Drew Ali in 1913 AD in Newark, New Jersey. And the purpose of the organization is to uplift fallen humanity.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a member of that organization, and we do that by teaching our people to be themselves. We teach them the truth about our nationality and our birthrights.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a member of that organization faithfully, and I serve as a Supreme Divine Minister. Means that I serve on the Supreme Grand Council to assist with the interpretation of laws, to assist with leaders around the country, and I serve in a capacity to be on the highways and byways in defense of the everlasting gospel. So you might see me traveling a lot, you see me moving around a lot. That's kind of what my function is. And I do a lot of work with government officials as well. So like I currently serve on the liaison between the Moorish Science of America and lots of different state, local, and federal government agencies, and I do a lot of stuff advocating on our behalf.
I believe that's how we first met, probably advocating somewhere. You do a lot of great work on every level, so thank you for that. One of the things that you said that stuck out to me, and because I think a lot of people don't understand the Moorish Science Temple of America. And I'm just going to ask you to expound on one point, and I'm going to bring this point out because someone that was raised as Christian, I think that one of the misunderstandings is that the Moorish Science Temple of America and other faiths don't believe or honor Jesus. Is that something, because I have evolved a lot in my beliefs, and so I know different, but is that something that you come up against a lot?
All the time. And that's primarily because people haven't read the other books.
Right.
They don't know. If you read in the Bible, John 20, verse 30, it is emphasized, this ain't verbatim, so Christians don't try to hold me verbatim to the scripture, but you can look up yourself, John 20, verse 30. John 20, verse 30, it talks about some of the miracles that Jesus performed are not written in that book.
Mm-hmm.
So if you study the Bible, you know there's 18 years of Jesus' life that's missing.
Right.
He taught from birth to 12, and he disappeared, and he came back at 30. He was the man coming from the mountain.
Right.
So what did he teach? What did he do? Where did he go? He went to India, Europe, and Africa, and he taught. And in the Moorish Science of America, we actually studied those 18 years. We studied those 18 years, and if you study the Bible, if you study Quran of Muhammad, peace be on him, if you study the words of Buddha, the Onyx of Confucius, or the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science of America, you'll see that they all bring different pieces to the puzzle.
They do.
So none of them are at conflict with one another. It's just people who misinterpret or misuse faith, and they use faith as their basis to promote their evil agenda. But it's not the actual books, it's not the actual teachings. All of them have the same basic premise, which is do unto others how you want them to do unto you. Learn to love instead of hate.
I'm glad you brought that out, because that is one of the conversations that I tried to have, because I am one of the people that did read the other books.
Right.
Because I believed as a Christian, if I was a Christian, then I had a duty to continue to grow in my spirituality.
Right.
And understanding that I don't have everything from this book, I should then go on a journey to find that information. And so once I got there, it was kind of frowned upon. And when I meet people like yourself or Muslims or people from other faiths, I continue to see that that's one of the biggest misunderstandings from those that don't read other books. My thing has always been, if you believe what you believe, then there is no way that another book can sway you anyway.
Exactly.
And if we all believe that there's one God, and you're Moorish Science of America, I'm a Christian, he's a Muslim, he's Buddhist, it doesn't make four gods.
Right.
It's still one.
Exactly.
Right.
And if I can see, look,
yes.
we honor all of the true and divine prophets.
Right.
We honor Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, and Confucius. And we recognize that they are reincarnated spirits that brought different principles. Like Jesus brought love to the earth.
Right.
So if you want to learn about love, you need to study Jesus.
Right.
Muhammad brought the truth.
Right.
If you want to learn the truth, you got to study Muhammad.
Right.
Peace be on him. Buddha brought peace.
Right.
If you want to learn peace, you study Buddha. Confucius brought freedom. You want to understand freedom, you study Confucius, and Noble Drew Ali brought justice.
Right.
And they each represent a different gate. So you got the north, the east, the west, and the south gate.
Right.
Collectively, that's the news, and they each came from a different corner of the earth, bringing that mission. And this is talked about in Revelation 7 as well.
Yeah.
So this is all in the Bible. It's all biblical.
Right.
So if I'm gonna expound on that briefly.
Absolutely.
Then
Go ahead.
In Revelation 7, it talks about the four angels that were about to bring destruction upon the earth. And those angels were Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, and Confucius. And then the fifth angel came and said, hold on, wait, let me seal the foreheads of the living God so you can see who are God's chosen people. This is the reason why in Moorish Science of America, our women, the Moabites, they wear the crest, the turbans with the point right here, and the salvation pin right here over their third eye or their first eye. Because in the Bible it says that Jacob said he saw God face to face. He saw a pineal. That's the pineal gland.
Wow.
So what our women do, symbolically, they are the ones that make man in their image. That's why we're gonna have a deeper appreciation for womanhood. They wear those turbans, symbolic of that. Those are God's chosen people. We have to honor our women, uplift our women, because the nation can only rise as high as its women.
Right.
So that's what Moorish Science is really about. It's about uplifting fallen humanity and teaching people the truth about their higher self and their lower self. Knowing that we're not Negroes, blacks, and colors. Why? Because those names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery.
Right.
So this is a new era of time now. And now all men must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. So.
That's excellent. Thank you for sharing that. I always learn something new whenever we get a chance to talk. One of the things I want you to expound upon regarding that is the hesitancy for people of color, specifically African Americans or Black people, to claim a nationality.
Right.
And maybe if you can just explain along what you were just talking about in reference to what we were taught as slaves and us being the people with no nationality now, and how that relates to the Moorish Science of America.
You ask great questions. Thank you. I appreciate this. That is because we don't recognize that our human rights have been violated. It is a human right to strip someone of their nationality, their culture, their heritage. In fact, in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Article 15, it states that everyone has a right to a nationality. And the United States actually, in 1998, it was an executive order 13107, I think that's the one, to where the United States signed that they would enforce and support the Universal Declarations that came out from the United Nations. So it should be taught across the country in all public schools and every education institution that we all have a nationality. That is what unites the human family as one. You got Chinese, Russians, Japanese, Egyptians, Nigerians, Jamaicans, Colombians. Everybody has a nationality.
Right.
Then you got black.
Yeah.
Colored.
Yeah.
Negro.
Right.
Ethiopian. Now African American. So I think our people don't realize that we are God's chosen people. Particularly here in the North Gate, our nationality was stripped away from us, and because of that, our land was stripped away, and now we suffer from clearly some of the worst treatment that any people can experience, and that's primarily because now we're not honoring our foremothers and forefathers. And we're doing it now. Through my experience, the European nations or the so-called white man is not the problem.
Right.
We had Senate Bill 238 passed a few years ago, and that was to support this new push to ensure that we properly educate our people so we don't keep behaving like we in the Civil War and slavery time, thinking we the victims all the time.
Right. Wow, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Just my thoughts.
No, but I mean that's why you're here to share your thoughts so that we can get all of these different views out, because the truth is out there, and that's what I always say. What was it? Were you raised in this faith? And if not, what was it that made you become a member of the Moorish Science Temple of America?
Yeah, great question. I grew up in a church. Mm-hmm. So I grew up going to church. My mom wasn't playing. My grandma wasn't playing. We was marching, watching, singing the songs, all that good stuff. And what caused me to change was as I grew older, there were certain questions I had about Christianity, about Jesus, just about some of the characters in the Bible that it just didn't make sense to me.
Right.
And my father committed suicide when I was 10. And I used to struggle with the concept is he in heaven or hell?
Right.
Because it says thou shalt not kill, but he killed himself. So he must be in hell.
Right.
So these are just concepts that I struggle with. And then it wasn't until I met a Moor one time. And this is how it always goes. You meet a Moor in the street and they just talk different.
Right.
They walk a little different. They have a little different character about themselves. And the brother started saying names to me. First he said Marcus Garvey. I said, yeah, I heard of Marcus Garvey. Mm-hmm. Then he was like, well, you heard of Noble Drew Ali? I was like, nah. And honestly, my brother, wise words. Some of y'all know who the brother is, if not. But that was the brother who actually kind of was the first one to ever say the name Noble Drew Ali to me.
Right.
And at the time, I used to eat pork. I ate meat. Mm-hmm. I ate a bunch of dumb stuff. I really wasn't living the healthiest and the best lifestyle. Right. And then after researching Noble Drew Ali, I took some of the information to the pastor of the church I was at. And I said, hey, man, I've been studying about these Moors, and they talking about Jesus' life, and they say they love Jesus, and the church didn't say none of this. So, I'm just trying to get clarity. I'm not trying to create division. Right. I'm just trying to make sense for myself so I could trust in the Lord with all my heart, and not that I don't understand it. Right. So I studied the Quran. When I read the Quran, and again, when I talked to the pastor and he quoted from the Quran, that's when I knew. I was like, oh, wow. Right. So you do know. You do know. A lot of y'all know. And I dug deeper. And I've had some tell me that they know we're Moors, but church is a business and they don't want to lose their business. Right. I've had some amazing feedback from leaders and people around the country about understanding nationality, and they get it. Right. So I got into it. So another thing that kind of prompted me to actually do it was my brother had been arrested by Virginia Beach police, and they pinned a robbery on my brother. They said he robbed a smoke shack on Lynn Haven with a pair of scissors for $33. We had the video surveillance. It was clear as day it was not my brother. And I remember going to court, sitting in the courtroom, and I'm sitting there looking, and my brother's looking like, we watched the video surveillance. It's clearly not him. Right. And they continued the case. Right. And my brother looked back at me with a look like, bro, what's up? You gonna do something? I'm like, I don't know what to do. Right. Like, there's a lawyer there. Like, we paid the people. We think we're doing what we're supposed to do. Right. And shortly after that, Trayvon Martin got killed. Wow. So now I'm trying to figure out, why is it legal to kill a black man in America? And why is mass incarceration targeting us? Right. Because at the time, I identified as a black man. Right. At the time, I identified as an African American. And I said, hey, they just killed Trayvon Martin. They just snatched my brother off the streets, locked him up. What's to stop them from doing me, my sons, my brothers, and anybody else the same way? So then I started studying. As I continued to study the Quran and studying some of the teachings, I followed. First, it was Malcolm X was my primary inspiration. And I saw how he went from Malcolm X, from Malcolm X to Malik El-Shabazz.
Mm-hmm.
The L was a Moorish appellation that caught my attention. And then I noticed how he studied the dictionary. So I started studying the dictionary. I had a Black Thought dictionary. And I studied it like a book.
Wow.
I read it for 7-8 months. That's all I did, studied that. And that revolutionized my language, my perspective. And then I started studying Cassius Clay. We went from Cassius Clay to Muhammad Ali, another Moorish appellation. And then I finally went fully submerged into Noble Drew Ali. And those are the 3 sparks. Those are different things that led to it. And after learning law, learning history, government, etc., I realized that nationality is the order of the day.
Wow. Wow, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. That's a lot of great information. If you guys don't know and don't understand what's going on, make sure that you tune back in, because we're going to get much more deeper in it with Brother Kenick. And you are watching the Onyx Effect, Step in the Ring with Onyx.
Yes.
Welcome back to the Onyx Effect, Step in the Ring with Onyx, as brought to you by Matchbout with none other than Brother Kenick L. And we're going to pick up on that question that I asked him before the break. So Brother Kenick, before we went to break, I asked you to expound upon ignorance of the law being no excuse, but I'd like for you to expound upon it from both sides. Ignorance from the law from a civilian and ignorance of the law from the powers that be. Because a lot of times people act in traditional ways and not really understanding the law, and a lot of times your title badge or things like that, people believe it gives you permission to behave certain ways, and on the other side, we don't know what's going on, so we're always disenfranchised.
Whew, thank you. All right, so I'm gonna give you my portion of understanding on this. All right, the law governs all events. Okay, we are all bound to obey the law. However, in America, it seems that this concept of democracy, which the term is unconstitutional, that word democracy is not in the Constitution, has created this environment to where now the elected officials believe that they are the authority over the people. And they forget that the true law and all authority, it comes from the people. So the people are the ones that are the true ones that create and disperse the law. We have elected officials to represent us. A lot of people aren't really studying the Constitution or understanding government or how it actually works. And I think a lot of people are just being emotional behind how they want to respond to certain things. But a few things about the law harms none. So when you actually get into law is intended to keep peace and harmony, to keep everybody working together. So, but there are people on both sides that abuse it. You have extremists that think they want to promote anarchy, and they do not want to adhere to any law. They want to be sovereign citizens. They want to promote their own ideology, their own behavior, and they claim not to be under the jurisdiction of anyone. Then you got people who believe they have jurisdiction over everything and everybody on the face of the earth, and they believe that everybody is their property. And if you don't adhere to what they say or do, then they're going to abuse power and violate you. So I think it's more of a balance, and the law we really need to get in tune with are the laws of nature, the laws of divinity. Those are the highest laws that we need to enforce. Right now, we're focusing on a lot of secular laws and codes and ordinances and little minute things that really don't affect divinity or nature as a whole.
Okay.
So that's just my draw on law, because law, it goes so many ways.
It does go so many ways. But if I could just redirect you to the secular aspect just a little bit, about how important it is to understand your law and your rights in that nature. I completely agree with you about the divinity and those laws that we need to understand, because I believe it makes it easier for you to coexist in a man-made system of laws. So can you just expound on
on the secular side.
Can you just expound to me a little bit about the secular side and how important it is for us to know those laws?
Yes.
And understand them. Know and understand them.
It's very, very important because you only have the rights that you can defend. Mm-hmm. So if you don't understand that you have the right to remain silent, you also got the freedom of speech, freedom of expression. You have the right to be protected. You have a lot of rights, but if you don't actually study and enforce them, they don't apply to you. You have human rights. But if you don't claim to be a member of the human family through a respected nationality and recognized nationality, then human rights don't apply to you. So why are people suffering and going through the things, kind of like I was touching on earlier, which is what led me to this school of thought, was watching my brother get violated in law, watching Trayvon Martin, Mike Brown. I go down the line of many of our brothers and sisters that have been violated in law, and a lot of it is due just to ignorance. Yeah. And I believe it's the manner in which the cases, the manner in which the argument has been presented to where they're not being treated, for one, for hate crimes. Right. That's federal jurisdiction. Our people need to understand that there are laws in place to protect us, but we have to obey the law first, then we can enforce them. Okay. So our issue from a secular perspective is our ignorance of the law causes us to violate the laws. Then we play victim to, oh, they did this to me. Nah, man, you out of law. Right. So this is why from the temple side, we teach the divine constitution and bylaws first. Get rooted in that, because if you have the divine law, then you should be able to get nature's law, you should get universal law, you should get man's law, secular, and all of the laws.
So with you saying that, and we talked about laws and you brought up human rights, I would be remiss if I did not ask you about the Human Rights Commission incident. So I'm going to look up something really quick. So the firestorm is said to have been created because while you served on the Virginia Beach Human Rights Commission, you were said to have made a statement on your Facebook page calling homosexuality an abomination to the human race, and while also referring to trans women as men in dresses. Is that true? What prompted the statement, and what happened?
Yes, that's true.
Okay.
110%. Yes. Okay. What prompted the statement was I was kind of frustrated with the way I feel like this is an over-sexualized society. I'm a Muslim, one, so you gotta understand the precepts of my faith. In the Holy Quran, the Moorish Science of America, chapter 35 on religion, it literally says that Allah has so kindly tied our duties to our nature, and obedience to his precepts is happiness to thyself. So when I reflect on my understanding of the precepts, my mind goes to the precepts of Buddha, because we honor Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, and Confucius. In the precepts of Buddha, one of the expressions is that we are not to engage in sexual misconduct. Okay, that's listed in the precepts of Buddha. Now in the Bible, in Leviticus chapter 18, it says that homosexuality is considered an abomination. It talks about, this is where the Lord is giving the laws to the Israelites about sexual morality. So it says don't have sex with your children, don't have sex with your uncle, your auntie, your family members, and men don't have sex with men, women don't have sex with women, don't have sex with animals. This is, all of it's listed. So from my office as a public ordained minister, which I have been since 2018, I often propagate the faith. And I teach on these subjects, not in an offensive or demeaning way, but this is actually my faith. And I was doing that way before I was a human rights commissioner. So becoming a human rights commissioner, serving, and mind you, I'm also a human rights award recipient from the city of Virginia Beach. So I received the Human Rights Award. I received a Volunteer of the Year Award because of the work that I voluntarily do and the lifestyle I already live according to my faith. I volunteer to help the city because I see there's a lot of deficiencies in human rights as they're being enforced throughout the city. Now, as it relates to the LGBT community, a lot of people neglected to include the fact that I voted to ban the conversion therapy against members of the LGBT community, not because they're LGBT, because it's a violation of human rights. It's a violation of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, where it says no human being shall be subjected to cruel and unusual punishment or torture. I don't believe in LGBT rights. I don't believe in black rights. I don't believe in white rights. I believe in human rights. I believe that the rights are universal. They apply to all of us, regardless of your sexual orientation or your choice. The problem that I have is, as a father, as a heterosexual, as a man, is that when you push your sexual behavior or your sexual identity as the premise or basis of your political position, to me, that's a problem politically. Because we shouldn't be teaching the children about heterosexual behavior in the schools either. You shouldn't be telling children certain positions. You should be doing certain things. That children should be children. I have 4 children. So I've had children from the mentoring program that I ran. 2 years before that firestorm, as they try to call it, took place, 2 of the children came to me. They said, Brother L, they said, this ain't fair. I said, what's that? And he pointed to this book in the public schools. He said, why this boy got 2 dads and I don't have 1? So here I am as a mentor. I mentor because I understand what it's like to grow up in a single parent home. My father committed suicide when I was 10. So I'm trying to help the babies with being a role model and a positive person. He asked me a question I can't answer.
Right.
I can't explain to this young man why this boy in this fictitious story has 2 dads and why you got none. And they're confused about why this sexual stuff is being promoted. Like I said, plus it goes against my faith. So when I expressed, and I think I expressed that comment after coming back from our convention, I was in Chicago.
Right.
So I came back from Chicago and I saw a story about a man who had chosen to be a woman. So he changed his gender and he went into a girl's restroom and molested a little girl. He was found guilty and convicted of this. As a father, I was emotionally triggered. I was like, oh, yeah, no, that's a problem. I don't want no man who wakes up one day and says he's a woman to be able to go into the bathroom with my daughters.
Right.
I believe that's not fair to my daughters. I don't believe that's fair to women. I think our women should not have to compete with a man to be a woman. I think we have natural functions, we have natural reproductive organs according to the laws of nature. And again, this all ties back to the precepts of my faith. So that's the position I'm speaking from.
Okay.
Now, as it relates to the Human Rights Commission, they blatantly violated my human rights. Blatantly. If you read the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, articles number, I think it was 5, article 12, article 18, article 19, article 27, those all were specific human rights violations that I experienced in the public sector because of my choice to volunteer to help. So I think a lot of people, and I expressed this to the city, I said, you guys don't understand the precedent you guys are setting. You guys are telling volunteers and ministers and people of various faiths that they can't propagate their faith. And for me to use the Bible in my expression, and this being a Christian society, Virginia Beach got a cross and a seal. And according in Virginia State Constitution, Article 1, Section 16, it says that they all must practice Christian forbearance. And no one shall be impacted because of no one should be civically impacted because of their religious faith or their precepts. I ain't got it verbatim, but that's on the lines of it. So when you look at that, when the city officials had a public press conference attacking me, they're blatantly violating the Constitution and they took an oath to defend. So me as a Muslim, as a volunteer minister trying to help, when people start attacking you and you trying to help them, I'm gonna walk away.
Right.
I ain't gonna fight you to help you.
Right.
If you don't honor what I'm saying because you want me to behave a certain way, you want me to be a puppet, you want me to be a yes man, and my mama didn't raise me like that. So I love everybody. I don't care who you have sex with. I just think if you take your private life and you put it in the public, you subject yourself to public scrutiny. And you can use me as an example. And if you're not prepared to defend your private life that you take public, then you shouldn't take it public. You know, I don't tell anybody what I do in the bedroom. That's my business. I got 4 children.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I don't recall ever hearing the things that you voted for in regards to conversion therapy or any of those things, or even that, because I know that you have friends that are part of the LGBT community. So I'm glad that you had the opportunity to say that. You want to say something else?
I
Go ahead.
do.
Absolutely.
You triggered me. You remind me of a thought. This is a comment, and I've said this to some of my friends in the LGBT community. Y'all know who y'all are. Because y'all know me. You know, and I expressed it to them in city. Many of them are officials in government. I said, look, the LGBT community does a great job of advocating for issues that impact citizens that are part of the protected classes. You know, you're a protected class based off of your sexual gender, your national origin, etc. Well, Moorish Americans are a member of the protected classes. And I've asked them before, and I use the Index Equity Scorecard that they use through the Human Rights Campaign. They use that as a basis to determine whether there's equality in government. And I asked them, I said, hey, why is it that you guys' Equity Index scorecard only addresses LGBT members in government? What about all the other protected classes? Because there are a lot of protected classes, and if you're a protected class and you found a way to advocate to ensure the citizens of your group are protected, that should be expanded to everybody. And it shouldn't be, I gotta be a homosexual to receive the knowledge that you guys may have to advocate for humanity. And I've expressed to them, I felt like they were discriminating against other protected classes. I say, I'm a member of a protected class. Our class is protected because of my ancestry and my religion. People think I'm black. They think I'm a Muslim. They think all types of stuff about me that's completely wrong. In the same way, it offends them to be called the F word. You know, they don't want you to say it.
Right.
So I'm gonna respect you and not say it, but I take the same offense when you call me black. It's the exact same premise. It violates my religion, it violates laws, but if you disregard what affects me, but you demand that I respect what impacts you, but I'm like, hey, this ain't right, you know? And that's kind of the issue that I think we need to address moving forward, and we need to come together. So it doesn't matter who you have sex with, just, I think keep it private. You wanna talk about it? I might disagree with you. I got freedom of speech, freedom of expression, but I'll never disrespect anybody, and I don't expect and I won't tolerate disrespect either. So that's why I walked away from it. I love them.
Yeah,
but
thank you. Well, you answered that question because that was going to be my last question. I'm so thankful and grateful that you came through to sit down with us. There is something that a magazine that you wanted to tell everyone about. So please take a moment and tell everyone about that magazine.
So a few things. First, Bully Magazine. See this here? Right here. Honest to the Bully Magazine. This is a all men's issue. Honest to the brother Joseph M. Travieso Sr. and honest to his mother, Kimberly Griffin. She's going to put it together. This is a great magazine you should get. It just came out, but she has a women's edition they're working on now, and they're just showcasing positive people in the community. So I strongly encourage you in Hampton Roads area, wherever you are, support this and support each other. Learn to love instead of hate. Also, I would encourage you all to come by the Moorish sides of America sometime. If you don't really know what's going on, reach out. And please stop listening to Moors that are causing confusion or speaking radical. To be very clear with everyone, we have to learn to love instead of hate. Okay? We're not anti-government. We're not sovereign citizens. Okay? We're peaceful people. We're loving people. But yeah, Bully Magazine, and tune in and support our sister Onyx.
Thank you so much for coming through. We will definitely have your information on how to contact you listed on the show. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being open, honest, and informative. And thank you for stepping in the ring with Onyx. Thank you all for tuning into The Onyx Effect. It's brought to you by Matchbound Boxing. Have a great day.
Peace on earth and goodwill to all. Islam.